You might not know this, but Rowan Atkinson, the guy we know as Mr. Bean, was actually a really wild car enthusiast, owning some of the most expensive and fanciest sets of wheels you'll ever find. And trust me, some of these cars are actually super rare. Let's take a tour through the awesome garage of our one and only Mr. Bean, Bentley Mulsanne Birkin Edition. To start with, you might be shocked to know that Mr. Bean actually has a Bentley. Back in 2014, he bought a Bentley Mulsanne Birkin Edition. And not just any Bentley, it was the Sir Henry Tiger Tim Birkin, one of the Bentley boys' cars from the so-called golden years of racing in the 1920s. Now get this, only 22 of these cars were ever made, and they were available only in Europe. The vehicle came with a twin-turbocharged 6.75-liter V8 engine packing 505 horsepower and 752 pounds of torque. Its top speed is an easy 185 miles per hour, and it is controlled by a smooth 8-speed automatic transmission. What makes this car even more personal for Atkinson is the connection to Sir Henry Birkin himself. If you never knew, Rowan actually played Birkin in the 1995 film Full Throttle. So, yeah, there's a bit more history to the car than we see. When it first came into the market, the Birkin Edition was sold for around $450,000 to $600,000. Today, its value depends on its condition and mileage, and its rarity only makes it a super-priced antique for people who are lucky to get their hands on it. Before we go on, you might want to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our newest celebrity car collection videos. Also, let us know in the comments section which celebrities collection you'd like us to cover next. Rolls-Royce Phantom Drophead. Mr. Bean once teamed up with Rolls-Royce to feature a one-of-a-kind Phantom Coupe and Johnny English Reborn. But here's where it gets wild. This luxury vehicle had an experimental 9.0 V16 engine. Yeah, not even a V6 or V12, it's a freaking V16. Rolls-Royce had actually developed this V16 engine during the Phantom's design phase, but they actually never intended to go big with its production. Atkinson, being a car enthusiast, requested it specifically for the film. While we don't have exact stats on the performance of this vehicle, let's compare it to the standard Phantom Coupe, which has a 6.75-liter V12 engine. This engine pushes out about 453 horsepower and 531 pounds of torque, with a top speed of 155 miles per hour. With a V16, these numbers would definitely go even further. Let's leave the numbers for now. The interior was sort of what you'd expect from a Rolls-Royce. Hand-stitched leather, beautifully crafted wood veneers, and a long list of customization options. On the outside, there was Rolls-Royce's iconic grille, rear-hinged coach doors, and a classy convertible soft top. As for the price, well, the standard Phantom Drophead Coupe with a V12 was around $500,000. If the Phantom Coupe with the V16 was mass-produced, it could cost way higher, say $600,000. BMW 328 Roadster. Now, would you ever believe that the man behind the Mr. Bean persona owned a race car? In 2011, Rowan Atkinson added a 1939 BMW 328 Roadster to his collection. Interestingly, this car helped BMW in winning the Mille Miglia, one of the toughest road races in the world, with the racetrack spanning 1,000 miles across Italy. Let's flip the hood open. The 328 Roadster uses a 1.9-liter inline-six engine and puts out 79 horsepower and 93 pounds of torque. It might seem really low on numbers, but if you consider that it's a 1939 car, I don't think it's that bad. It even has a hit speed of around 143 miles per hour, which would have been really impressive at the time. Compared to modern-day cars that are made with carbon fibers and other lightweight materials, the Roadster was made using aluminum and had a prominent kidney-shaped grille in front with round headlights. Inside, the steering wheel was wooden and the seats were made with fine, high-quality, and of course, comfortable leather. I find it puzzling that despite how low in numbers this car was, Atkinson wasn't bothered about the $621,000 he threw in for it. Well, what can I say? It's an extremely rare piece of car history. Ford Falcon Sprint. In 2006, Rowan Atkinson picked up another race car, a 1964 Ford Falcon Sprint. This particular one was actually restored to race car specs made by the International Automobile Federation, which pretty much meant it could compete in newer races. Powered by a 4.7-liter V8 engine, the Falcon Sprint puts out about 271 horsepower and 312 pounds of torque. Compared to the BMW Roadster we just saw, the Falcon's top speed is just around 120 miles per hour, so not too bad. But it could do better. The race car was actually fashionable, with a long hood, short rear deck, and chrome accents. It also had bucket seats, a center console, and a 4-speed manual transmission. Atkinson actually raced this car in the 2014 Goodwood Revival's Shelby Cup race, and it did pretty well until it made a head-on collision. Luckily, he walked away without a scratch, and the Falcon was fully restored to its original condition later. As it turns out, Atkinson's love for this car died off in March 2021 when he had it auctioned off for $77,000. Mercedes 500e. Rowan Atkinson also had a Mercedes-Benz 500e, which he bought in 1993. This car was actually special because it was developed in collaboration with Porsche, and you know what that means. A really powerful 5.0-liter V8 engine that could give out 322 horsepower and 354 pounds of torque, being able to go from 0 to 62 miles per hour in just 5.5 seconds. Considering that it is a luxury sedan, I think its top speed of 161 miles per hour isn't actually bad. Atkinson had his 500e come in a gorgeous Nautic blue with a blue MB text and leather interior. It had the silhouette of the W124 E-Class, featuring flared wheel arches and a lowered stance. You could easily tell that those were added by Porsche. Now, let's go inside. The 500e had walnut trim and leather upholstery, Recaro seats, and a leather-covered steering wheel. Atkinson chose a gray cloth upholstery over the leather. It also had a fully independent suspension system and, just for the sake of tech, a dual-zone automatic climate control that allowed both the driver and passenger to set their preferred temperature. Oh, and there's the high-quality premium Bose sound system and the built-in mobile phone system. But Atkinson's heart wasn't so set on this car. He sold the car in 1994, then acquired it back in 2017, and then, only a year later in 2018, he let it go again. McLaren F1. On of the grandest cars, in Rowan Atkinson's collection is a McLaren F1 he acquired in 1997, and of course, this was no ordinary McLaren. This supercar had the chassis number 061, being one of the most iconic cars ever made. Atkinson threw in $830,000 for this bad boy, and trust me, it was worth every penny. Designed by the Gordon Murray, who is behind the amazing designs of the 1991 McLaren MP4 and the 2023 T33 Spider, the McLaren F1 is powered by a 6.1-liter V12 engine that produces 627 horsepower and 480 pounds of torque. It was actually a speed demon, hitting 240 miles per hour. That was some piece of cake. No surprises why it was the fastest production car of its time. Atkinson's F1 had a stunning dark burgundy color finishing, with an interior made with black leather, burgundy Alcantara inserts, and tan leather accents. It used a carbon fiber monocoque chassis and also had a gold-lined engine bay for heat reflection. Atkinson drove it regularly, so often that he went over 41,000 miles with the vehicle. And of course, when you drive a car like this often, things can go wrong. Atkinson crashed the F1 twice. The first was in 1999, and the second, which was more serious, happened in 2011. The latter became a record breaker when the car's insurance repair bill of $1.4 million was released. Still, Atkinson loved his McLaren too much to just it rot. Sadly, in 2015, Atkinson parted ways with the F1, selling it for a reported around $12 million then. Just to point how much profit he made, compare this selling price with his $830,000 purchase of the car, plus the repair and maintenance cost of, let's say, $2,000. Jaguar MK7. Rowan Atkinson also owns a 1952 Jaguar Mark 7. This luxury saloon was born between 1951 and 1956, a time when cars couldn't easily hit 100 miles per hour. For the Mark 7, 100 was probably an easy mark. The Mark 7's 3.4-liter DOHC inline-6 engine produces about 160 horsepower and 195 pounds of torque, driving the rear wheels with a 4-speed manual transmission. Inside, it had walnut wood trim, leather seats, and a well-detailed design. On the outside, you've got those signature integrated headlights, a 2-piece windscreen, and rear wheels partially hidden under the bodywork. Atkinson had taken this beauty to historic racing events and even earned his first podium finish at the Goodwood Revival with this car. Today, the price of an MK7 depends on its condition and history. Well-maintained models usually go for anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. You're buying a beautiful slice of car history. You've got to spend a lot. Aston Martin V8 Zagato. Then in 1986, Atkinson added a second Aston Martin to his collection, this time an Aston Martin V8 Zagato, which he bought for $670,000. This vehicle was a result of the collaboration between Aston Martin and the Italian design house Zagato. For an engine, it used a 5.3-liter V8 that provided about 432 horsepower and 395 pounds of torque to the vehicle. With that, it had a top speed of 185 miles per hour, which was actually a big deal at the time. The bold, angular look of the vehicle was created by Giuseppe Mattino at Zagato. It also had that recognizable squared-off grille of an Aston Martin, and its insides were just the perfect smoothie, made with luxury, sportiness, and, of course, style. The upgrades also included an increase in the engine output to a wild 482 horsepower. Sadly, though, racing comes with risks. In July 2001, during a track day at the Croft Circuit, Atkinson lost control of the car and crashed into a barrier. Again, he was lucky to walk away unscathed. Still, his bank balance had to suffer the brunt when $280,000 was withdrawn for repairs. After restoring the car, he then sold the car at an auction, with the highest bidder paying $220,000 for it. 2014 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. Finally, in 2014, Rowan Atkinson got a $310,000 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG to his car collection. This sleek coupe has Mercedes trademark gull-wing doors on an aluminum space frame body. In the engine compartment sits a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 that delivers 563 horsepower and 479 pounds of torque, helping the vehicle hit a top speed of 197 miles per hour. Interestingly, only 3,973 units of this car were ever produced. Inside, the SLS AMG has leather upholstery, carbon fiber accents, and a command system. It also uses a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission and has adaptive suspension, high-performance braking systems, and advanced stability control. Yeah, easy on those wheels. Its fuel efficiency is also really good, with an average of 14 miles per gallon in the city and 20 on the highway. As of 2024, the SLS AMG still holds tight in the market, with a well-maintained model going for a price between $200,000 and $250,000. That's a wrap for today's video. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to stay updated with all our upcoming content. We'll catch you in the next one.